Hello, everybody. My name is Murray Pollock. I'm the managing editor of International Rental News website and Rental Briefing newsletter. Today, I'm with Collin Pike. Collin is the Vice President of Cloud and Innovation at Point of Rental, software, well-known software provider. Collin, you've been there 9 years. What is it exactly that you do at Point of Rental?
Yeah. 9 years, almost a decade. So it's been a really good decade. Great experience for me, hopefully a good experience for the company as well. So I'm the Vice President of Cloud and Innovation. So effectively that means all of the security engineering, the cloud engineering, the data architecture, and any of the AI platforms from an intelligence perspective and data modeling, they all kind of fall under my purview. And so my primary objective is to help customers have kind of a competitive advantage in the market, and that's what we're trying to do.
Great. Thanks for being with me here today. We want to talk about your new rental intelligence suite. So this is functional AI as applied to rental businesses. Can you just explain what it is that it allows customers to do that they couldn't previously do?
Yeah, so in general, the way that I sum up the rental intelligence suite is that it's the first decision engine that has come to market in the rental industry. And so what I mean by that is we've leveraged our Point of Rental 4 decades worth of experience and data and just knowledge about the hire and rental industry to help create this platform that gives an observability layer into a customer's business. So, customers generally have relied on reporting and spreadsheets and things like Power BI to help inform them about the day-to-day activities that are happening at their company. And what we've done is created an opportunity for them to get better insights about their operations and then help them to make informed decisions and then take action for them on their behalf so that they can really get back to their day-to-day operations. So we're really starting to leverage that kind of data, that data layer in this new world of AI, helping drive people forward.
And what are the use cases, the key use cases that your rental customers are asking for when it comes to AI?
Yeah, I think generally when customers ask us for things or when they tell us in voice of the customer feedback what they need, they generally want help with things about understanding what the total cost of ownership for their assets are. What do they do with their assets? Where do they place them? So where are they going to maximize their revenue or maximize their utilization? But overall, the kind of general thing about what customers want is they're just trying to maximize their performance. And so we have customers that spend hours and hours every day looking through spreadsheets and analytics and all these things to try to really, hey, how do I set these things up for success? How much maintenance am I getting on these assets? How much maintenance am I likely to get on this asset? I want to go invest in some new inventory for these excavators. Is that really the best place for me to put that money? I need to sell off these skid steers. All these decisions, just these day-to-day operations about fleet decisions and customer analysis and all these things. That's what our customers are really asking for help on, and we're trying to give them a better platform to be able to see this firsthand and really be able to take action immediately.
In practical terms, how is it integrated within your existing software offerings? Is it like an additional layer? Is it fully integrated? How does it work?
Yeah, so it's fully integrated with all of our rental management softwares, but it's a separate platform. And so you log into the platform, and that platform has the ability to connect and integrate with whatever rental management software you're on. So a lot of our EMEA and APAC customers who are using our Syrinx product, some of our retail and rental customers that are using our Essentials platform, or some of our heavy equipment operators in the US and abroad that are using our Elite platform, all of those feedback into this platform. And so everyone is eligible to use the Rental Intelligence Suite. And so from a practical perspective, they log into this new platform and they're greeted with all of these feature sets that really help them to operate their business, both from a financial and a fleet management perspective, and getting all of those analytics at their fingertips without having to go configure Power BI reports and without having to rely on just kind of canned information. It's really tailored to, here's the information that we found and here's what you should do about it.
And the information sources, you mentioned Power BI, I'm familiar with that when we're looking
Sure.
at the audience stats for our own publications. It's not replacing something like Power BI or all the Excel spreadsheets. It's just drawing on those resources.
Yes and no. So, there are different types of customers that have different levels of analytical integrations, like Power BI. Some people have an entire BI team that they'll hire, and some people, it's a mom and pop shop, and they're trying to do everything that they can and get all of the reporting they can. We cater to a bit of both. So the reason that we can do that is that with the 40 years that Point of Rental has been around, we've amassed a huge amount of data and knowledge about the rental industry. And so from all of that data and knowledge, we're able to glean insights about predictive things like maintenance trends down to individual assets, like how are Bobcat excavators doing compared to Kubotas, or how are these skid steers performing in this category versus this other one. We're able to grab all that kind of analytical data. And so in a traditional sense, when customers would build BI reports, they're really looking at things like a G&L or a P&L, like kind of looking at your holistic accounting approaches. But what we're doing is going down to the individual asset, and we're kind of asking the question of why. Like, why is this asset underperforming? Why is it not maximized on profit? And what in the world do I do about it? Should I move it over to this other location? If I do move it over to this other store, how much more profit am I likely to get from that? If I hang on to this asset for another 13 months, how much maintenance am I going to get from it? And because of all that data we've amassed and some of our really great intelligence team of data scientists and data engineers and data architects, they're able to take that data and create a lot of machine learning models to help provide predictability and predictions about things like preventative maintenance and predictive sell-off, and just all of these types of things that are possible because of all of that breadth of data.
The data's got to be there. So you're dealing with customers who have telematics, and that's really how you exploit the power of AI.
We're helping everybody leverage their own competitive insights to be able to maximize their performance. And so what we do, we take great strides at looking at a lot of the data sets that we have. And, we have a huge team of people that are worried about de-identification and anonymizing of data and data ethics, and about geolocating based upon things like GDPR and the AU 1988 Privacy Act and all these things. And so we do all these things, and then we come at it from an approach of, okay, here's what our customer needs. They have all of this data that they've been working on for decades. If we were them, what would we do? Coming at it from a kind of a data science perspective, what would we do if we were there? If we got hired by them and came and sat down at that rental shop, what would we go do? And as a bunch of kind of data scientists and data guys, we look at it of, well, we would take this data and we would see what are the trends that we see, what are some of the modeling projections that we can do for them. And all we're doing is we're providing that service to them without them having to go hire their own team for that. We instead provide a nice, intuitive, easy to use platform for them to be able to get those insights.
Are customers already using the suite, or is it still kind of an implementation phase?
Yeah, so we're actually in closed beta. We have several customers onboarded and using it. We've got customers that are making decisions on it to the figure of six-figure deals, where they're making decisions of, hey, instead of buying these assets, I'm actually going to go buy these because the platform's showing me that my return is going to be greater if I do this. Or, hey, I'm going to go dispose of these assets, and I really wasn't planning on doing that, but these things are costing me so much in maintenance that the trends work out that I should go ahead and flip these assets. And so we already have customers that are giving us great feedback about the decisions that they're making today. We launched it in closed beta at the ARA event in, I think that was February. So we went to Orlando and we onboarded, while we were there, we onboarded some closed beta customers. They've been great. We get constant feedback, and that's the biggest part of this whole process, is listening to what the customer's needs are, and then seeing how we can put ourselves in their shoes and what we can provide for them to be successful. And so as we go through this process, we're really excited to see what that comes out with.
Collin, if you're a small or medium-sized rental company, not maybe one of the bigger companies that has its own internal IT expertise and team, for the smaller or medium-sized companies, what advice would you give them about implementing AI in their software systems? I mean, what do they need to do to get their data in shape to be utilized by AI systems?
Sure. So if you're on the point of rental platform, we take care of all of that. So that's not whether you're a big company or a small company. And in our beta customers, and as we go into a production state and onboard anyone who would like to join, it doesn't matter if you're a 1,000-person org or a 2-person shop with one location. We take care of all of that on our platform. But outside of rental intelligence, just looking at AI kind of as a whole, I definitely recommend people start, if they've not already done so, start dipping your toes in the water, get a ChatGPT account, get something like, go look at Anthropic and some of their things like Claude. Start exploring and experimenting. Be very cognizant as you get into these things about data privacy and data security. You need to be very, very just knowledgeable about what it is that you're giving to AI. And then you need to be just aware of the responses that it gives you. You need to kind of take with a grain of salt and may need to expand on it and kind of mold it a little bit to get really good insights. And then cost. Cost is a huge factor. So, we have a whole team of like our head of AI, Matt Gaff, and he helps make sure that we stay really on top of cost control and making sure that we're leveraging things to its max potential and all those things. And that's a full-time job for several people at Point of Rental, is just maximizing the cost that's associated with AI. And obviously for people that onboard onto our rental intelligence suite, they don't have to worry about that. It's just, they pay for the platform and we deal with all of that on the back end. But for those that are taking it on themselves to go and grab an OpenAI account or a Claude account, it's just something you need to, especially in this new world of kind of, hey, let's just put it in there and see what comes out. It's one of those things you just have to be cautiously aware of. Is you hear horror stories on the news, I'm sure, all the time about people overspending significantly on token usage with AI. And it's a real thing. It's just something that I encourage people to be cautious about.
How do you make sure that your own AI models, which are embedded within the suite, I'm guessing, are not hallucinating on the data? How do you do that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we use a combination of different things. So we primarily use private models that we've created, like private LLMs. So all the data that flows through our platform never goes to a third party, never leaves. None of the identifiable data ever goes external. It's all internal. We anonymize and de-identify wherever we possibly can. And we really take that data security to the next level. When we start looking at our data models and how we're making sure, like from a hallucination perspective, it's all about the data in, and whatever goes in, it dictates how good of the data that comes out. And so a lot of that process about cleansing the data, like de-identifying, all that stuff, we also take great strides in structuring that data so the data that we input into those models, we can be certain as to what comes out of those models. But in this whole process, there's a concept in, without getting too far in the details, there's a concept in data science that's called backtesting. And when you create your own statistical models, let's say that a customer, you have data for 20 years. You can take a lot of that data and build really cool statistical models to help predict, revenue and preventative maintenance and all of this stuff. In order to validate whether your models that you've created, you have to write the code to create these statistical models to make sure that what you did is correct and it's accurate. You do this thing called backtesting, where in that 20-year period, you can go back to thousands of different points in that 20-year period. You pick a few points and you say, what was this outcome in a known time frame? So if you say something like maintenance, like, oh, well, in January of 2019, what was the maintenance going to be for this Bobcat? And the prediction algorithms will go through and it'll make a prediction. And then you can say, okay, well, we know what that was because that's in the past. So how accurate were we in our prediction? Now give me some measurements on, was I under by this? Was I over by this? And then that helps refeed into those models, retrain them, and then they become more accurate. And so there's a whole process to kind of this madness of machine learning and AI that we've gotten into. But yeah, we go to great strides to try to make sure that hallucinations are kept to a minimum.
Collin, I want to come on to what's coming next with AI and the functionality for rental companies. But just in terms of affordability, you know, it's something that customers who are using your software would have to pay for to get the additional suite. Is that a big hike in their license fees for this functionality, or try and assess it for me?
Yeah, so one of my favorite things about my job is I never know how much the sales and product team charge for anything, whether it's included, whether it's not, or whatever. So that would be a good question to ask our product and our sales team. I'm sure they would love to talk about it, but I'm not really sure where
Got it. No
where it's
worries.
going to be.
No worries. So let's look forward to some of the functionality that you might be able to provide, maybe even that rental companies haven't talked to you about or thought about
Sure.
or asked. Anything on the cards, you think?
Yeah, so I'm sure you've heard the term agentic AI, and that is the biggest component that I'm excited about that's rolling out to our closed beta customers. It is really changing the way that people run and operate their business. So agentic AI, which I'm sure you're already very, very aware of, is just AI that helps to take different steps to provide an outcome that you would have otherwise done manually. And it kind of frees up some of the time that the customer traditionally would have taken to do these things. The first agentic agents that we're rolling out are around disposition, and then our fleet balancing and our phone agent. So we can talk a little bit just briefly about each of those, but disposition is a huge task for rental stores, right? So a lot of customers have this thing they call a trash to cash sheet, and it's a sheet of underperforming or houred out, things that have gone over their prescriptive meter hours or aged out, and they're ready to get rid of these things. What we are doing is we've provided a functionality or feature in the application called Disposition Planner that provides that insight. It takes all the assets that you have and sees ones that are underperforming or ones that should be kicked to the curb and sold. You can go into the platform today and you can list those things automatically on some auction sites or see some information about some statistical analysis of should you actually sell this? Is it still profitable? Should you hold on to it? All of those things. But taking a step back from that is our agentic feature to that, which basically the way it works is there's an agent that sits in the background, watches all of your fleet, determines when an asset is looking to cross one of those thresholds or otherwise may be at risk of reducing in predictive revenue or increasing in predictive maintenance. It will automatically go look at some of our valuation and resell models that we have to determine what a price might be in the market for this. Yep. And it will automatically go and list it on your, if you're integrated with point of rentals e-commerce, like our storefront pages, it'll automatically list it on the storefront, things like Facebook Marketplace or things like auction sites. And then when those things sell, it will integrate back into the platform, your rental management software, like if you're using Syrinx or Elite or Essentials, and it will mark those things as sold. And so this whole life cycle basically turns into a rental operator being able to kind of hands off, have his or her fleet optimized from a sell-off perspective by letting this thing work on its own. And the same thing is true from a fleet balancing perspective. So if you have 100 excavators and you have 10 different store locations, our operators want to know where should they place those excavators to maximize their utilization and their performance. And so we're able to do that with a lot of the data science and stuff that we've done to be able to predict, this asset's going to return 10% greater revenue over here or here. And the agent does the same thing. It sits back, watches for those types of performance improvement or those maximizing factors, and then it will automatically fleet balance for you, send the transfer request back to your rental management software, do the dispatching, and it will automatically go over there. And so it provides a hands-off opportunity for customers to really start managing some of these day-to-day operations.
Collin, final question, just wrapping up here. there's kind of an arms race going on now with the implementation of AI. Every software company, every rental company is developing its own to some extent as well, AI use cases. How do you manage implementing that and keeping ahead, or keeping ahead on the AI side when you've got all the existing development aims and goals, functionality for your core software? How does a company like Point of Rental manage that?
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. So I think from a high level overview, Point of Rental has always subscribed to kind of four core tenets. We call it our EPIC values. So it's empowering, principled, innovation, and caring. And so everything that we do, whether it's development or customer service or HR or whatever the case, or accounting team, we always follow those kind of core tenets. So we want to empower people, whether it's our customers or internal employees. We want to be principled and ethical. We want to be innovative, and we want to be caring. And so anytime we want to approach things like something new, like AI, we sit there and we say, what's the best thing that we can do to empower our customers? And even in today, that might not be AI. Like the feature that needs to go out tomorrow, that might not be AI. Maybe somebody just needs a new button to be able to click a little bit easier because it was taking them 15 clicks. Now that is not a difficult thing necessarily to do, but it might be super impactful to that customer that, it might save them, 10 minutes to be able to do that. And then that over the course of a month, it kind of compounds. And so we approach things that way of the hype about AI and machine learning and all this stuff, like that is great. And we're well positioned from a perspective of being able to help our customers because of all the historical knowledge that Point of Rental has been able to learn over the 40 years that it's been in business. But in reality, when we start looking at what we do to help our customers, we approach it from what's going to have the maximum positive impact on them. And so we do have, we've created all of these different development teams to focus on AI efforts and data research and data scientists that do this. And we still have product teams that have developers that might be empowered using some AI to help advance and further their feature development and all these things. But when we look at it, our head of product, James Morley, when he's sitting there and looking at what's next for Point of Rental, what's on the roadmap, he approaches it the same way. He looks at those EPIC values and he decides what's going to have the most impact for the customers. And Point of Rental isn't really in the business of trying to beat out competition as much as we're in the business of trying to help out our base of customers. And so whatever's going to help them, and that could be AI features or data analytics and stuff like that. But sometimes it's creating a button that saves them 10 steps. And I would vote that we do that before we do something that's just to do the hype.
It's an exciting time for a software engineer to be in the business, isn't it? I guess it's the most dynamic market that you'll ever have seen, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's been pretty wild. I've been in technology for quite a while now, and I've seen kind of the shift in things of going to cloud. Like I was kind of on the right at the precipice of everything going cloud, and I remember that swing, and I was like, man, this is amazing. Like this is the time, like you can scale up servers, you can deploy these things, like, oh, this is amazing. And we're kind of getting that same feeling now, like this is amazing. This is going to change the way software is developed. It's going to change the way businesses operate. And just like cloud computing improved the operational efficiency and the impact that the software companies were able to have on their customers, I see the same thing for AI. It's going to continue to mold and adapt and improve over the next decade. And we're going to see it on the other side, what the cool improvements are that it was able to provide for the industry.
Great. Collin, thanks a lot for your time. That was interesting, fascinating, really. Good luck with the development program going ahead. So thanks again, Collin Pike.
Yeah, thanks, Murray. Thanks for having me.